We'll take you to Cairns now, where questions still remain unanswered surrounding an unauthorised helicopter flight that resulted in a deadly crash on top of a popular hotel. Last night, a crane was brought in to remove the wreckage as investigators work to piece together the circumstances leading up to the crash.
The pilot who died is yet to be formally identified. Our reporter Chris Tester joins us with the latest. Chris, good morning. So what are investigators there in Cairns focusing on?
Good morning, Michael. Yes, investigators are trying to piece together how the aircraft was taken from a hangar at the General Aviation Wing of the Cairns Airport and then flown probably about 4 or 5 kilometres here to the Doubletree by Hilton Hotel on the Cairns Esplanade, where it crashed just before 2 o'clock early yesterday morning. There are some investigators who appear to be on site. I'm not sure if you can see behind me, but there is a room at the top floor, which is near where the helicopter crashed into the hotel. We understand that one of the rotor blades actually went through that window, and we've seen some people wearing some high-vis clothing poking their heads around this morning and having a look at the scene. But there's so much that we still don't know, including why the helicopter was even in the air. It wasn't supposed to be flying. The company Nautilus Aviation, which owns the aircraft, described the flight as an unauthorised flight. That means there was no flight plan, and they say that the aircraft was actually stolen. It wasn't supposed to be taken from their hangar at the Cairns Airport, where they have their aircraft based. Police yesterday didn't answer a lot of questions, saying that investigators are still trying to piece together the circumstances. Says that there's a lot of things we don't know, whether weather conditions may have played a part, whether the city or the hotel was the pilot's intended destination, or whether he simply got disoriented on their way to somewhere else. Myriad of theories doing the rounds, but no confirmed narrative around what exactly was going on here. The Cairns Airport has reviewed its security. They say they've got a multi-layered security approach in place, and they're confident that there's been no compromise. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau, part of the investigation, is looking at whether there was any sort of mechanical or pilot issue from an aviation safety perspective, but they've said it'll take 4 to 6 weeks for them to compile their preliminary report. Any issues around access, or whether the issue at hand is the theft of an aircraft or any unlawful entry to a hangar at the Cairns Airport, that's going to be a matter for police and potentially other federal authorities that have oversight at the Cairns Airport. We still don't know the identity of the pilot, but investigations are continuing into a second day today.
OK, Chris, thank you.
The federal government will today unveil a plan to replace physical ID checks by allowing people to verify their ID through a QR code. Our political reporter Oliver Gordon joins us now from Parliament House. G'day, Oliver. We got very used to QR codes, didn't we, during the last few years? So what's the government suggesting here? How's it going to work?
So a really interesting development when it comes to our digital ID. So that's getting some of our sensitive personal identification documents onto our phones. The government calls this proposed system Trust Exchange, and essentially it's about digitising the ID verification process. The government's shared some details about what this system would look like. If you were going to a hotel, you would scan a QR code, and then through that QR code you would share your passport. This would save the hotel manager from having to go and make a photocopy of your passport. If you're going into a venue where you need to be over 18 to enter, you would take your phone and tap and pay in much the same way you would for a coffee if you're paying for a coffee on your phone. And then a digital token would be sent to the venue to verify that you are over the age of 18. We know the government's been pretty concerned about businesses holding on to large troves of personal documentation and personal ID documents. This appears to be a way for the government to make it so businesses aren't burdened by holding on to large troves of personal information. It also appears to be a way to make it so users feel they've got more control over those sensitive documents.
And when's it expected to be rolled out?
So at the moment, Lisa, it's just in the proof of concept stage. We're expecting some trials either later this year or early next year. We're set to learn more about this process later today, though. Government Services Minister Bill Shorten is going to be speaking on it at the National Press Club.
OK, Oliver, thank you.
Some developing news now. Police across the country have launched a crackdown on outlaw motorcycle gangs, arresting more than 100 people, laying more than 250 charges and seizing weapons, drugs and more than $100,000 in cash. It's all part of a national week of action against the criminal groups coordinated between all Australian state and territory police, the AFP, other national agencies and New Zealand police.
High-profile US Democrat Nancy Pelosi has criticised former Prime Minister Paul Keating's description of Taiwan as Chinese real estate, calling that statement stupid and ridiculous. Last week, Mr Keating accused the Albanese government of being a sellout on its defence policy while defending Chinese interests in Taiwan. Ms Pelosi has hit back at those comments in an interview that will go to air on 7:30 tonight.
I have no idea about Keating, but I think it was a stupid statement to make. And I don't know what his connection is to China that he would say such a thing. But it is really not in the security interest of the Asian Pacific region for people to talk that way.
An increasing number of civilians are being moved from their homes as Ukraine continues its military offensive in Russia's Kursk region. Russia's President Vladimir Putin says Ukraine's attempting to gain leverage in possible future peace talks, and the incursion will, in his words, receive a worthy response. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says it's all about restoring justice.
The City of Melbourne will vote this evening to cancel its popular but controversial shared e-scooter trial. The initial proposal included stricter penalties for rule breakers, exclusion zones and technology to stop people from riding on footpaths. But Lord Mayor Nick Rees will move to call for the city's contracts with e-scooter providers to be cancelled following a series of complaints about the scooters.
And Miley Cyrus has become the youngest person ever to be named a Disney legend. She received the title for her role as pop star Hannah Montana in the very popular TV and movie franchise of the same name. The actress and musician tearfully accepted the accolade at Disney's D23 convention, saying she was always proud to be Hannah Montana. Are you always proud to be Emma Revelato?
Well, of course, Michael.
You should be.
Thank you very much.